Welcome back, everyone, to episode 41 of the Minot Business Podcast presented by Bennett Creative Media. I am your host, Easton Bennett. And on the show today, we have Eryn Reeff. Eryn, how is it going?
So good. So good.
Before we get into the questions, we would love if you guys would rate and review the show. It really helps getting the show out there to new people and getting it seen by more people, which helps us get more guests and more episodes for you guys. So, Eryn, let's get right into things. We just like to people to throw them right in the fire. What do you do for someone that doesn't know? If you were sitting at a bar by yourself and someone walked up and like, what do you do? What would you tell them?
I cut hair.
Okay, there you go.
No, I am a booth renter, salon suite owner.
Okay.
Hairstylist kind of thing. Yeah.
So how does that work then? Is there a difference between like, hey, salon owner, booth renter, or how does that differentiation work?
So as a booth renter, I own a space in a salon.
Okay.
So I'm inside of a salon.
Yep.
Everybody in my salon has their own area, and we are all booth renters of the area.
Okay, cool. So it's like you guys are all under this one building, but you don't own the building, which is kind of nice for not having overhead, right?
Yeah, it's nice for us, but I mean, the girl that we rent from, she's renting it, so it all kind of works out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we're going to get into that a little bit down the road. I want to talk about your background a little bit. Did you know, or when did you know that you wanted to work for yourself? Was that always something in the back of your mind, or, growing up through high school, college? What was the thoughts there? If you went to college, I guess.
Yeah. So it was always kind of something. I mean, it sounds great to everybody. Everybody wants to work for themselves. Like, who doesn't want to be their own boss? Like, it sounds good to everybody. So it was always something that kind of intrigued me. Okay. My dad, self-employed. He has 2 businesses. So I always kind of had an inside to being your own boss, owning your business. I did go to college. I did semester at NDSU right out of high school.
The Cal College.
Oh yeah, baby. Roll hard.
Yeah.
And then I came back after semester. Like maybe I just didn't like Fargo. I don't know what it was. Did another semester at BSC.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, yeah, weekend. I'm like, it's just college. I don't like.
Yep.
So I ended up finishing out that semester at BSC. Went to hair school a month later. Finished cosmetology school. After cosmetology school, I went back again.
Okay, back
online.
to school. Okay.
Yep, got my associates online through BSC while working in a salon, and then went back for a 4th time to good old Minot State.
Okay, there you go.
And at that point, I was like, Beavers. You know what? I just don't think it's working out. I know I like hair, so we're gonna stick with that.
So what were you going to school for then? Because I'm an advocate. Yeah. Oh, so you went through multiple different majors.
Many things. Okay. I mean, yeah, I
just trying different things, I assume.
I did right away off the bat. In Fargo, I was going to school for athletic training. Okay. And then it was an English teacher. Yep. And then it was undecided.
You're like, I'm going to try them all.
And then I was going to nursing school. And then I was like, I'm going to go to school for business. And then it was nursing. And then, I mean, I'm glad I took all the classes I took, but.
Yeah. Well, you get to learn a lot through those classes. And I'm a big advocate. I didn't go to college myself. Mm-hmm. I'm a big advocate that I don't know if there's shame when people are like, oh, you're not going to college, which I think the narrative is changing a little bit, but I don't think someone needs to go to college to be successful.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah. And they don't have to go. And like, if you don't go to college, it doesn't mean you automatically have to go to a trade. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, now I got to be a welder or a plumber or something like that. But there are many different avenues now. So when you went to school, when did you decide, hey, well, actually to go back a little bit then, you went to these places to college. Where are you from? Because I know
I'm from Bismarck originally. Yes.
Okay. So you went to Bismarck and then you're Fargo and then tried Minot. When did you know you went to cosmetology school? Mm-hmm. And then what was the difference, the gap of time between going to school and then working, starting cutting hair?
So going to school, like beauty school?
Yes.
So I got into a salon right out of school, out of cosmetology school. And I have worked in a salon essentially like pretty consistently since then. I worked at 2 salons in Bismarck while I was there. And then upon moving to Minot, I worked at Solitude for a few months and then kind of went and focused on school. Yep. Decided I'm not going to be finishing out school. So I started working at another salon in town, Evolution. And that's kind of where.
Okay. So then now I want to talk about the transition period. You're working at these salons and you could probably work at these salons for, the rest of your life if you wanted to. What was the transition to, I'm going to start Modern Create & Co.?
So it was one of those things where I have a lot of friends in the industry as well, a lot of people I know, and they were always like, you can do it. It's a scary thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can do it. You have what it takes. Like you can totally make it. And one day I was just like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at a place where, I've got a pretty good clientele built up. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like you don't want to go out on your own and then not be able to,
and I assume it's like a lot of the other industries where it's almost like a book of business.
Right.
Like once you have the people that come to you to get their hair dyed or their hair cut or styled or whatever it is, they kind of stay with you unless you really fuck up there.
Yeah. Unless you really, that, or you just don't click well. But I felt like at that point I had a pretty good clientele set to where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable in that if I did go out on my own, I know X, Y, and Z would follow me and that I would be able to do this successfully and do it like the right way.
Yeah.
So I kind of just hit that point. I was like, I think I'm going to do it. I feel like the time is right. It all kind of fell into my lap. And
do you think that it's important to have these friends then that are kind of pumping your tires in the beginning to do those things?
Absolutely. Like having those friends and having those connections, it's huge. I mean, if I didn't have them in my corner being like, you can really do it. Like I believe in you. You've got this. You can do it. And along with helping me along the way of getting everything going. Game changer.
So did you have any like mentors then that helped you through the beginning of the business process of like, hey, here's kind of what you need to do when you're starting on? I assume your dad is probably maybe.
My dad was a really, really big help too. Granted, his businesses are a little bit different than, a hair salon.
Yep.
He's not out cutting hair. He's doing his own little thing, which is great. But he definitely had a lot of big pointers as a matter of like, here's what I would suggest. Here's what I would suggest to talk to. I was living with Thea Blada at the time, and she was, I don't think I could have done it without her, honestly. Yeah. She set me up with all the right people. She was like, okay, you got to do X, Y, and Z. And knowing a lot of people in town that also were doing the thing that I was about to go do was a huge help too. Being able to talk to them, go to them for advice and guidance was.
Instead of going in blind.
Yeah. Instead of being like, all right, we're hoping for the best here. But it's huge to have those connections and have those people to talk to and call and be like, hey, I don't know who to call to get my name registered with the state. Just stuff like that.
Customers like, how do I pay you? You're like,
that's a really good question.
I don't really even know.
I have
you just
no
want
idea.
to do a handshake, like
high five and call it good.
We'll figure it out later. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll pay you $20 if I can just like stop this conversation right now. You don't even have to pay me.
I don't know how we're going to do this.
Yeah. So how did you end up coming up with the name then? Did you go through a bunch of name iterations? Was this kind of the one you stuck on? Or what did that process look like?
So that's actually a funny story too. I was, I had some ideas. I didn't really know for sure what I wanted to go with. And Thea actually is the one that kind of helped me with that too. We were just sitting down and just bouncing ideas off of each other. And I was like, I want something that's kind of timeless, something that's creative, something that's a little more modern.
Yep.
She's like, Modern Create and Co. And I was like, I think we just decided our name. Yeah. There it is. We've got it.
So is there anything else you were spitballing then? Like, were you throwing, like, do you remember any of those crazy names?
My Instagram handle while I was like working at salons was Hair by Eryn.
Okay.
I was like, I could just keep it like that, but I kind of wanted like rebrand a little bit.
Yeah.
So I had that, and I don't remember what else we were playing around with, but there were so many different things and nothing felt.
I feel like that's kind of a staple is hair by and then a name like kind of common?
You see a lot of it for sure. And that was one thing too. I was like, I kind of want something different. I want something that not really anybody else has. So
yeah. Well, and it kind of gives, even the word modern gives you the vibe of like, you cut my hair. And I went in there and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. And the whole experience you have is tailored around that brand.
Yep.
So did you always have a thing for, the beauty industry, or when did that kind of click? Have you been one of those girls that really likes having their hair nice all the time, or when did that click?
So I always have had a thing kind of like, cutting your doll's hair when you're growing up and, doing your friends' hair and makeup. I would do some of my friends' hair, for events in high school, like formal, or I did one friend's hair for prom and makeup. And I was kind of the go-to for all things like that.
Yeah.
So I always had kind of an itch for it. If you know me now, you know that I very rarely do my own hair. So it's kind of funny how it comes full circle, but I've always kind of had a thing where I was like, it's something I really, really do enjoy doing. So
yeah. Okay. So then going into the customer side a little bit, I know we talked about it a little bit before, but have you found any ways, like how have you got your name out there? Like, hey, how am I going to get these new, do you call them customers or clients or patients?
Customers, clients. I like to kind of go by client or guest, honestly, kind of like heightens the experience a little bit by calling them like a guest versus like. Because
I know people always have weird things about those words. They're like, well, if we use customer, it doesn't really sound like customer. If I go to McDonald's, awesome, great, but it's a different experience.
Kind of got to cater to like what you're providing, I feel like too. So
exactly. Okay, so guests. So how have you gotten these new guests? Is it mainly word of mouth, or what is that like? How have you kind of built the brand?
So a lot of it, I feel like, is word of mouth. I feel like social media has played a huge part in it. I mean, everybody now if they're looking for something, they're going to type in Facebook or Google or Instagram, yada, yada, yada in my area.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a really, really big thing. Honestly, I have gone and like put cards out places.
Okay.
It's very old fashioned.
Yeah.
But people do still look for business cards.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing, I know, but
that's interesting because you don't hear a lot of people come in and talk about like, they're like, oh, you got to run Google ads and you got to do Facebook ads and this landing page. How have your experiences been with the old school marketing tactics?
It's actually, it's not been great, but it hasn't been terrible either. Like every now and then, I mean, you're out at dinner and you are getting conversation, or you're out at the bar getting drinks with someone having conversation, and you're like, oh yeah, I do hair. Like, oh, can I get a card? Like, my wife is looking for a new person. Like, can I get your card?
Here.
We just moved here. Yeah. Stuff like that. So that has been very beneficial, I feel like, too. I mean, I always just carry cards with me.
Yeah. Never sleep on business cards.
No, I mean, they're good.
I was in Fargo this last weekend for the state basketball. My sister plays. And I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, and someone from Minot said, oh, hey, do you have a business card on you? But we're looking to do videos, and I was looking to get in contact with you. And I literally had one business card left. And I was like, oh God, I hope I do. I was like, I got one. I'm ripping. I'm like, please have one. Like, please have one.
Please have a business card.
Pulled one out, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Slid it over to him. But yeah, it's like, if you always have those on you, never know. Especially,
you never know who you're going to come in contact with.
If you're in a grocery store or if you're at a gas station, whatever it might be. So you obviously went to cosmetology school for the skills needed to cut hair and do that. How did you learn the business side of things? Besides, obviously, your dad probably helped a little bit, and, Thea. Did you ever take any classes, or did those college classes help you at all as far as that goes? Or how did you learn the business side of things? Because I know it is, it's a two-way street. You got to kind of know both.
It is. So I did take some classes in college, just very basic business classes, but honestly, a lot of it's been trial and error. I mean, you learn as you go.
Learning through experience.
Really, that's really a lot of it, is you learn through experience. I mean, what works for me might not work for somebody else, and so on and so forth. But a lot of it has really been trial and error. Seeing, okay, this worked this last year. Let's keep going with that. Or, that did not work very well last year. We're not going to be doing that again.
Like, we'll nix that one. Put a big X
so
over
that went off the list. But I think a lot of it has really been trial and error and just kind of learning as you go. There are some classes online that I've taken, just like listening to podcasts on like running a business, just things like that.
It helps a ton too.
Right. And it really helps hearing like outside, outside
because you get in your own head.
You get in your head so much about it. And then it's nice to hear somebody else that you don't know that's just giving business advice on how to run a successful business, whether it's anything across the board. So
I think the saying I always tell people is, you don't know what you don't know. So then you go in, and if you hear something on a podcast like that, and you're like, oh, shit, I didn't even think about that. So it's kind of cool. So what were your initial thoughts? You started the business. Were you nervous? Were you scared?
I was terrified. I was so scared.
I feel like everyone's like
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I am cut out for this.
Yeah.
And thankfully, starting out, I was fortunate enough to work along one of my like really good friends, Lauren Lightholt. We were side by side, our booth. So I got her every single day.
You're like Dragon and Nighthawk.
I was like, Lauren, what do I do? Yeah. Is this supposed to happen? What's going on? So, I mean, I was terrified starting out. I'm like, I don't think I can do this.
She's like, no, the guest's hair is on fire. That's not supposed to happen.
She's like, actually, those flames are not what's supposed to happen. But yeah, I was terrified right away.
Okay. So then did you ever think about, like a plan B, a backup plan? Did you always say, I'm going to run with this, but did you have that in the back of your mind? Like, I can always go back to a salon if it doesn't work out? Because I think the main thing when people are thinking about starting business is taking that original, leap of faith, I guess you could call it. And like, hey, I'm going to start my own thing. Did that ever cross your mind at all?
I mean, it still does.
Yeah.
I'm like, if this doesn't work out, I mean, I always have that. I could go back and work, at a commission-based salon. Yeah. Which there are still a handful of them in Minot, so I know that I would be able to do that. But yeah, that was always like my plan B. I'm like, well, if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna go back, or there's got to be something else out there that
you can always go back and get that English teaching degree.
I can always go back to college for like a fifth or sixth time, you know?
She's like, I'm going to set the record for most times.
Attempted college.
Yeah. So did you, working at a salon then, did you gain a lot of benefits, a lot of skills, kind of seeing how a salon was run and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, working in like a commission-based salon, it's a big team effort. I mean, to make the ship run. Yeah. It really is. So, I mean, you really get to see all ends of things as far as like booking people, payments, rebooking, making sure you have inventory, making sure color is stocked, and, the cleaning aspect of things. And just you kind of get a well-rounded view of everything. So when you go out on your own, it's like, okay, I know I'm going to be doing all these things, but instead of doing it for 8 people, I'm only doing it for 1 person. So it kind of evens out a little bit.
And I think people, like, even just hearing that right now, I wouldn't have thought, like, I go in there, obviously a men's cut,
right? Probably
not crazy. You probably need scissors, a comb, that kind of thing. But you think about the colors, and then, maybe you have the software that you need to rebook people, because you think about, like, when I got my haircut, I got a text reminder. So, like, setting up all that stuff, I'm sure you took away from.
Yeah. And I mean, too, working in different salons, everybody has different software and systems they use. So then I kind of knew, okay, I did not love that software. Like, I didn't love this system, but I really like how this one's working. So if I were to go out on my own, I would use this one. Or working with different color lines. Like, I use so many different color lines in the different salons I've worked in, which is great. And it's great to have a well-rounded knowledge of different lines and products and all that knowledge. So it's like, okay, I liked this color line, but I didn't like that one, so I'm not going to use that.
So then you can kind of tailor to what works best for you.
Right. And a lot of it's personal preference too.
And that's the thing about working at many different places. Sometimes it's like, oh, you don't want too many places on your resume, but you do get to learn a lot. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people think they need to start right out of college or high school. Like, I need to start my business now, start it early so I can grow it. But really going into the industry and learning from other people has a ton of benefits, because I know if I had went and worked for a video production company, I probably would have learned a shit ton more in 2 to 3 years than me trying to figure everything out.
Figure it out as you go. Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the brand a little bit. What experience are you trying to bring to your customers? How important is that, if you are starting a business, that your guest has to have this tailored experience?
As far as like a tailored experience, I think you just got to find something that works for you. I mean, for me, I want my clients to come in and it's a positive environment. Like they feel at home, they feel welcomed. Like they're coming in, they know they're relaxed. Yeah. And that's one thing that's been very important to me. And like when they come in, I don't want them to be like on edge or anxious or nervous. Like when you come in, no matter what kind of day I'm having, I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, how's it going? You just have to bring the energy into that. That's one thing that I really strive for and keep like at the top of my client experience is just like that warm, bubbly, happy environment. Oh yeah. I feel like it just makes, and that makes people want to come back too.
So do you think that differentiates you then from old Joe Schmo down the road?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people have that. Yeah. They want to make it a warm, welcoming experience. But I mean, that's one thing too that I really like. I make sure I'm on my game, or I try to be. I mean, there's days, where you're like, okay, I'm just not having the best day. And but I have made it really like my top priority just to make it like a very warm, welcoming environment for my clients. So they have a good experience. And then too, I know I'm like, if I'm not having a great day and I can't give them the 100% that they deserve to, it's not fair to them. So. Yeah.
And I think you're doing a fantastic job with that. I know when I went in there, you were bubbly bouncing around. We're going to take a quick break to hear from this week's sponsor, Midco. There's no time for downtime in our fast-paced business world, so why settle for anything less than ultra smooth, ultra reliable business technology backed by a team of dedicated industry professionals. Midco Business Services are here to work around the clock with built-in redundancy to provide the ultimate peace of mind while you run your business. Start with a free consultation to explore our adjustable service plans at midco.com/business. I've been a Midco user ever since I started my business, ever since I moved into my house, my studio. Everything that Midco has provided has been fantastic. So if you guys are looking to check that out, head over to midco.com/business. All right, Eryn, let's get back into the questions here. So why do you think, it's more so on what we were just talking about, your guests, why do you think it's important that they trust you in an industry that's so hands-on with how their appearance is?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I mean, I hope they trust me because I'm using chemicals and I got sharp objects really close to their eyes. Yep. So I just think it's important to instill that trust with each other. I mean, I'm trusting you and you're trusting me. It forms a really good relationship. Being able to like have a client come in and be like, I don't care, I trust you, just do something. I mean, having that trust is, when a client comes in and says, I trust you, I'm like, okay, I've done something right.
Yeah. So are there any ways that you've found to build that trust?
Just being really open and honest. You got to be super open and honest and educate them. If somebody comes in and they've been box coloring their hair black for the last 7 years and want to be blonde. I'm like, you know what? That's probably not going to happen today.
Yeah.
And if it does, you're not going to have any hair. So being honest with them and like what their goals are, if they're attainable, or giving them a timeline and just properly educating on them on why that is or is not possible, or why something will or will not work.
Yeah.
Whether it be their face shape or their lifestyle or anything. It's just, I think that's a big part of having that trust in like a client stylist relationship.
I think being the expert, I guess you could say, in the industry really helps with building that trust. Like you said, if I come in and I say, hey, I want this haircut, and you say, hey, your cheeks are really big, you probably shouldn't do that. Right. I'm going to trust you a lot more and be like, okay, maybe she's right. She's obviously done this enough to know that people with big cheeks don't need this haircut. So I think that does help a ton in building that trust with the clients. So going a little bit into the marketing now, is there any marketing you've tried? I know you're out there on social media, but let's talk a little bit about your marketing efforts.
So as far as marketing, yeah, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Yep.
Those have all been so far so good. But I also have like an umbrella out at the Varden. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I got a big umbrella on the patio.
Yep.
Shout out to Ray. He's the best. Love that. So they're very fortunate that I work out there too. So I'm very lucky that I have people who also want to like cheer me on and support me in that. So I got my umbrella out there, just leaving pens around with my name on it.
You got pens?
I have pens, and I've heard they're phenomenal pens. Yeah. So that's been a good one. I have donated to some golf tournaments, just like putting a gift card in there and a business card, or some product. That sponsoring some golf tournaments, just little things like that to kind of just put your name out there and put the bug in people's ear. Weddings, I do a lot of weddings, so that's been a way too. Also
so that's more, so that's like styling then.
Right. So like I'm there doing bridesmaids hair, whole 9 yards. That's been one thing too that I feel like kind of has set me aside. Not a lot of people do wedding hair anymore in town, which is totally fine. I mean, it's not for everybody. Either you love it or you hate it. I love it, so it works. And then it also opens the door for me to like be a part of bridal shows and events like that. So
so it's a lot of these different avenues to really get your name out there, because I feel like 2023, someone says marketing, it's automatically social media, or it's, got to create this video, whatever it is, which, hey, buy videos. You can buy them from me. But no, there are a bunch of different avenues like that. Pens, umbrellas, sponsoring different things. I want to dive a little bit into the wedding industry now. So
let's do it.
You like the wedding industry?
I love the wedding industry.
Okay. So do you just love then?
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I don't hate love by any means.
Don't put words in my mouth here.
Easy there.
Yeah. So you go in there. What did the skill set look like for figuring out the skills to, because obviously you're not cutting these people's hair when you go to these weddings, but did the stylist and the cosmetology school, did those kind of come together? Do you learn it all there?
So you learn in cosmetology school, you learn the very basics, like the things you need to get your state test or get your license to take boards. You learn what you got to know. And from there on, it's kind of on you to do continuing education. Which is phenomenal. I love continuing education. Like I love learning new things. So sign me up. A lot of that was kind of in salon education that I got just by practicing things or practicing on friends, just playing around on a mannequin head. I mean, it sounds insane, but those mannequin heads aren't the greatest, but they definitely work to try new things on. And I just kind of hands-on doing it. I've taken some classes. I'm going to Chicago next month, and I have a lot of like bridal classes I'm excited to take just to like keep up with the trends. I mean, it's always changing. So I'm like, whatever I can learn for the next bride that's going to want something that everybody else hasn't wanted, sign me up. Yeah. So then as far as the brides go, then do you do any marketing to get these weddings, or is it kind of, hey, if I do a good job with this one, their 8 friends are going to come to me? Well, that's been a lot of it too. A lot of it's been word of mouth. I mean, like if I do one wedding and then she's got 4 bridesmaids that are engaged in town, they're like, oh, you did so-and-so's wedding. I'd love for you to do mine. Kind of thing. So it's kind of like a word of mouth thing with that too. Or if I did their prom hair and they've got an aunt or a cousin getting married or whatever it may be. All those referrals. It really is. It's crazy, but a lot of it is referrals and word of mouth. And then like the bridal shows, even just being a part of those, gets your name out there, gets the bug in people's ear. The bridal show, that must be a big thing, because that's like a bridal show, and maybe I'm wrong, but is that where there's a bunch of different vendors for a wedding? So, there might be photographers there and there are cake people there and then hair people. Is that how that works? So they're kind of just got like a little bit of everything that would, you would need essentially
for a wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. So have there been any marketing strategies that haven't worked then that you tried and you're like, oh, no more of that?
Not really. I feel like everything kind of has.
Like, I'm pretty good at it all, honestly. If I'm
pretty talented. What can I say?
Yeah.
Nothing that's really been like an epic fail. You learn from it in one way, and even if you get one person from it.
Yeah.
One thing that didn't work a ton for me, starting out was like, so if I give you a card with your name on it and you give it to a friend and they bring it back, you know, like that kind of thing is then people forget it and they don't bring it back. And then it's kind of like, okay, that was kind of a bust, but you're getting new people in the chair still. So it kind of evens out. Kind
of works. Okay. Yeah. So do you have a favorite marketing strategy? One thing you really like doing, even if it really didn't work? You know, I see you're throwing those TikTok videos out there. Do you enjoy that?
I'm really trying to build my TikTok presence. It's terrifying. It is. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but we're going to just keep on posting and hope that it works.
Hey, you got to try, right?
Yeah. I mean, TikTok's been really fun. It's been a learning curve for sure.
You're not doing the dances like
one of those things. But I mean, learning what hashtags to put on things. I'm like, I don't know. What are the kids posting?
Yeah, what are all these youngins doing?
But I mean, TikTok's been really fun. I've been a learning curve. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on that. So I mean, I'll probably keep doing those.
One of them popped up.
Cringes me.
Yeah, one of them popped up on my For You page like 3 times. I think you're doing Taylor's hair.
Yep, that
and
was
I watched him every time.
Big one, and
I was like, let's go. I don't know why I wanted to see it, but I love seeing before and after.
Right.
So seeing him like how her hair looked before and then after, I'm like, oh, that was so satisfying. It's kind of like those window videos
like where the oddly satisfying things they scrape.
They put soap
like, I can't stop watching this.
That was like your hair video. I was like, I'm just gonna keep watching her head change. It was fun.
Yeah.
So when you started then, did you have a long-term goal? Did you go into it thinking, hey, 10 years down the road, I want XYZ, or I want it to look like this? Or did you just kind of go day by day?
Everybody's always kind of got those like 5-year, 10-year goals.
Yeah.
Of course I do. I mean, I would love for this to blow up and be huge and be like coolest thing that Minot's ever seen, but I gotta also think realistically. Like, could that happen? Probably. But I definitely have like 5 and 10-year goals and like places I want this to go. Like I definitely want it to continue to grow. I'm definitely going to continue to work on growing it. But.
So eventually you want to be like, do you want people under you then? And have a bigger salon, or what does that look like? I don't
want people like under me. I would love to, eventually one day have kind of open up something like what I got, like where I'm working now, where Bailey has District 89 and we rent from her. Like, I think that'd be kind of cool to have something like that.
And then you have someone rent from you?
Yeah, then have someone rent from me. And then, whether I bring other things into that building, like I've toyed around with the idea of like bringing a boutique in there, or like opening a boutique and having a store, kind of like a one-stop shop.
Okay. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I've got some friends that we've bounced some ideas off. I don't want to give everything away.
You don't have, we
got lots of cool ideas.
We'll have you on the podcast here in a year or two, and we'll see if any of those things have come to fruition. Why do you think that it's important to have goals in business?
If you don't have goals, I mean, what do you have to work for?
It's true. I like that.
There's got to be, I'm very much I always want more. Like, what can I do next kind of thing. So if I don't have goals, I'm like stagnant.
Yeah.
Okay. What's my next thing here? Like, what am I working for next? Where do I want to be next?
Because if you don't have them, then it's like, well, why do I even want to go in today?
Right. Why did I even like start this if I don't have goals and things that I want to?
Okay. So then as far as business goals go, some people go into business and they think, I need to have a 50-person team and $1.5 million in revenue. What would you say to those people like going?
I mean, that's great. I think we would all love to have that. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting small at all. And like building a good foundation off that. So you have a foundation to grow and have 50 people under you. If you don't have a strong foundation, you just have 50 people working underneath you and you crumble. I mean, you hope it doesn't happen, but then
are going to be upset.
Yeah, you got 50 people mad at you.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
Yeah.
That makes me a little nervous.
And I think me specifically, like when I started my business, I wanted to jumpstart things so quickly. I was like, I'm going to have this big team and I'm going to do these big projects. And then you start to learn, okay, you have to take it a little bit slower. Right. It's like building, the brick, and that stupid analogy where it's like, you got to build brick by brick, but it's true, because if you don't do the bottom, then your shit's just going to fall to the top. So small business then, what is the small business community like here in Minot? What do you enjoy about it?
It is so awesome. It's so amazing to see like how everybody just supports everybody. Like no matter what. I mean, all small businesses are rooting for each other, which is really cool to see. And the connections that you can build like in all the small businesses in Minot.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really cool. Like it's a really like, I mean, in Bismarck, there was a really good small business community too that I was fortunate to kind of be a part of and see. So it's really refreshing to see in Minot too, like people supporting each other.
Yeah.
And not, out for blood.
Yeah. It's like, I got to shut this salon down.
Yeah. It's really, really nice to see everyone supporting each other.
Everyone can eat. That's what I like to say.
And there's plenty of people to go around.
Oh, yeah. If there's a town of 50,000, you couldn't cut 50,000 people's hair.
No, I wouldn't want to cut 50,000 people's hair. I'd be burnt out.
Yeah. You're like, well, that's when I'd need the 50 people under me.
That'd be the point where I need those 50 people.
Yeah. So this is a big topic I like to talk about with people that run a small business. How can people support a small business? Because a lot of the times people think, I have to go pay whatever, furniture store. I got to go buy $150 couch or whatever it might be. How can people support small business on a smaller scale?
I mean, back to social media. If you see stuff on social media, share their things, comment, like their pages.
It helps a ton.
Yeah, just little things like that. I mean, when I see, so-and-so started following you, you gained 3 followers in a day. That's kind of like, that's a big deal. I mean, that's 3 new people. That's 3 new potential clients. That's 3 more people that I can tell someone else. Just little things like that. It doesn't have to cost anything to support a small business just by rooting from them. Yeah. Even if it's from afar. I mean, you see all over, people love to have something to whine and complain about small
whiners and complainers.
Yeah, I mean, I love scrolling that thing. And I'm always like, is there anything about me on here? Yeah. Just curious. But I mean, just spreading positivity and.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's actually the answer I was going for, trying to pull out of you is that, because I run a small business myself, it's like getting those shares, and obviously my mom and my grandma, they're always going to like and share it, but getting those from random people when you see it's like, I haven't talked to that person in a while. Right. And now they're sharing my stuff. So it's kind of cool. It
is cool to see that. And like, I mean, it's not a verbal, act of support, but it's just even a little share of someone, that I was friends with in 6th grade. Be like, Becky, like that was so cool of her to share that.
Yeah. And it's a snowball effect, because then it might turn into, a client that comes in, and then you have that person. You don't know it came from that share, but on the backside, it came from that person. Right. So every share matters. Do you have any advice for new business owners, trying to get their new ventures off the ground? Anything you'd say to them to maybe shorten that learning curve a little bit?
Don't be afraid to fail. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like, don't be afraid of failure. Because you are going to fail in a few things. It's inevitable. Like, you're going to probably fail at a few things. Oh, yeah. But you can't look at them as a failure. Look at it as like a learning thing. Like, you learn from that. You learn that's what you're not going to want to do. Mm-hmm. You can take everything as learning. You can never stop learning. There's so much to know and learn. And the second you think you know it all, you get an issue. So, I mean, I would say your biggest thing, just don't be afraid to fail. And you just got to bite the bullet and do it.
I always say, you don't fail unless you quit, because if you quit, and then it's like, that is a failure because you stopped doing it. But if you learn from it, move on, it's good. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you wish, or that now that you wish you knew when you started in the beginning?
I feel like it's kind of, everyone knows it. You're not going to please everyone.
Oh yeah.
You can't please everyone. There's always going to be someone who's unhappy or mad about something, and I like to think of that as like using that as your fuel. Yeah. Like, let that one person's frustration or anger. Obviously, you never want people to not be happy, but there's people out there that are going to complain and have an issue with everything, and use it as your fuel. It's
like that. You're probably that person in Billy Madison where he's writing the list and he crosses Happy Gilmore's name. Or not Happy Gilmore, but Billy Madison. He's like, thank God I called that guy. Okay, so last question I got for you then. Mount Rushmore of business advice. I need 4 pieces.
4 business advice?
They don't have to be anything crazy. And I'll actually take that first one of yours, the don't fail one. Okay. We can use that as one.
Don't be afraid of failure.
Yep. And then I need 3 more. Nothing crazy.
Okay. Don't be afraid of failure. Ask questions.
Okay. To who?
Anybody Like, I mean, don't be afraid to ask questions either. I mean, if you don't know something, there's somebody that does, have an idea or can point you in the right direction for someone that does have an answer for you.
Yeah. And you don't have to tackle everything yourself either.
I mean, it's okay to, and that's one thing I really, really struggle with, is it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like, you know what? I can't do it all right now, and I need help.
Yeah. I went into business thinking, I'm going to build this $1 million business. I won't need any help from anybody. And then I'm like, oh shit,
just kidding.
I don't know how to do this, and Google's not telling me. So I really enjoy that one. Okay. So that's 2.
take care of yourself.
Take care. Okay.
Take care of yourself. One of the best pieces of advice that I've gotten was from an old boss that I worked for in Bismarck. And she said, you can't pour from an empty cup.
I like that.
You are your business.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pour from an empty cup. So if your cup is empty, how are you supposed to, pour into your business?
Yeah.
So that's been a big thing that I've tried to reiterate in my head is you can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself and to take a day off.
Day. Yep. There you go.
It's okay. And then know your worth and stand by it.
I like that one. You want to elaborate a little bit?
Just know what you're worth and stay true to yourself. Someone's going to be like, oh, I can't do that. I guess I'll just have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
But you know what you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let anybody try and,
just value.
Value yourself and value what you provide.
Yeah. Because if you're like, I'll give you a discount. Right. And then the next person comes in, they can't. And then eventually everything gets watered down.
Once you start doing it too, it's like everyone's going to expect it.
Yeah.
So you have to just know your worth, stand by that.
Mm-hmm.
Stay true to it.
And it starts from the beginning. If you put your foot down in the beginning, it won't trickle. Yep. But if you let one person do it, then two people,
and they're all going to start doing it.
Exactly. Eryn, anything else you want to add? Otherwise, where can people find you?
I am located inside of District 89 Salon. It is right north of Starving Rooster.
Yep. Downtown
Minot Electric building, weird shaped building. If you think you're going the wrong way, you're probably going the right way. I'm in there. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the above.
Check out the TikTok. We'll link all of those social accounts below. District 89, correct?
Yep.
Check it out. Don't park where I parked because I parked where you're not supposed to and I was going to get towed. So I moved it. And sometimes they even have a couple dogs running around there.
Do they?
Well, there's a dog.
At the salon.
There.
Yes, we are a dog friendly salon. We always have, or more than likely always have a dog in the salon. So
they were trying to force me to adopt one.
And we're probably going to try and pawn it off on you. But
they
need homes. They're so cute.
Yeah, no, they are cute. So Eryn, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
That was episode 41 of the Minot Business Podcast. Again, please leave a rating and review if you like the show. It really helps get the show out to new people. We will see you guys next week for episode 42.